Imagine a candle, its flame flickering brightly, only for a cold hand to snuff it out. Narcissists often speak in ways that dim your spirit, using subtle phrases to trap you in self-doubt, control, and confusion. These traps are more than words. They are carefully laid, snares meant to keep you small, fragile, and dependent. Narcissistic relationships are like tangled vines, where growth is choked and fear becomes the gardener. Why do some people fear your independence? Why is your confidence such a threat to them? These are questions that deserve reflection, for recognizing these traps is the first step toward freedom. As C.S. Lewis wisely noted, a man can't be always defending the truth. There must be a time to feed on it. We need the clarity to recognize these manipulative patterns and the strength to break free. Scripture assures us, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8:32. God designed you to grow in confidence, love, and wisdom, not to live under the thumb of fear or domination. Are you ready to recognize these phrases and protect the light God placed within you? If this message speaks to your heart, stay with us. Together, let us walk toward freedom, wisdom, and healthy relationships grounded in God's love. And remember, subscribe to receive more insights that can nurture your faith and strengthen your spirit. Children of the Almighty God, have you ever noticed how some relationships seem to thrive only when you feel small, fragile, and unsure? There are people who fear your growth as though it threatens the very ground they stand on. In their world, control and dominance are their lifeblood. Like puppeteers, they cannot bear to see the strings loosened, for your independence becomes a direct threat to their carefully constructed power. C.S. Lewis wrote in the Screwtape Letters that evil seeks to dominate by reducing its subjects to shadows of their true selves. Narcissistic partners operate on a similar principle. Their deepest insecurity is your potential to break free, to shine, to find self-assurance. So they weave a web of manipulation, subtle put-downs, passive-aggressive remarks, and cold dismissals, ensuring that your confidence is eroded, your wings clip before you take flight. This hunger for control manifests in ways that, at first glance, seem benign. Perhaps they dismiss your successes or offer praise that feels more like a backhanded compliment. Their goal is not to lift you up, but to keep you in a place of perpetual insecurity. As you grow stronger, they grow anxious. As you seek independence, they grow desperate. The dominance they crave is not about partnership, it is about possession. Have you ever wondered why setting a boundary with such a person results in punishment rather than respect? Fear of abandonment or ridicule can make us tolerate far more than we should. But remember, God did not create you to live under anyone's thumb. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. You are designed to flourish, not to be subdued. And yet, dear friends, this struggle with dominance is only the beginning. Just as the fables we read as children carry deeper truths, so too do these dynamics reveal a pattern, a tale of those who cannot stand to see others soar higher than themselves. Consider the small, cunning wren and the noble eagle. Have you ever heard the tale of the eagle and the wren? The eagle, proud and powerful, soars high above the earth, confident in its strength. The wren, a small, unassuming bird, cleverly rides on the eagle's back, leaping off at the highest point to soar just a little higher. But instead of admiration for the wren's ingenuity, the eagle feels humiliated. It punishes the wren not for wrongdoing, but for daring to rise above. In many toxic relationships, narcissists play the role of that eagle. They create scenarios where you are allowed to succeed, but only within limits they impose. The moment your growth outshines their sense of superiority, the punishment comes. It may take the form of coldness, withdrawal of support, or subtle humiliation. Your success feels like betrayal to them, an act of defiance rather than a shared joy. This dynamic erodes trust and breeds confusion. Shouldn't love celebrate success, not compete with it? A healthy relationship reflects the spirit of Romans 12:10. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. In contrast, a narcissist twists honor into a contest, where your growth is a threat to their fragile sense of worth. Yet the fable holds more than just a warning. It reveals the absurdity of living in constant competition with those we should cherish. Imagine the eagle's potential if it had embraced the wren's cleverness instead of punishing it. In the same way, relationships founded on mutual support lead to shared heights, where both soar together, free of fear. But what happens when your growth is consistently undermined, when the joy of achievement is met with cold calculation? Here lies a deeper struggle, where the very essence of growth is stifled by the need for control. And soon, even your smallest victories feel dangerous. A flower kept in a too small pot will never reach its full bloom. The roots, though capable of stretching deep and wide, remain confined, tangled upon themselves. Similarly, in a relationship with a narcissist, your potential is kept deliberately constrained. They are content with your growth, as long as it doesn't threaten their sense of superiority. The moment your leaves dare to stretch beyond the edges of their control, they seek to trim you back. This subtle sabotage can be insidious. You may hear phrases like, "I just don't think you're ready for that," or "Why do you always need more?" These words are cloaked in concern, but their true purpose is to plant seeds of doubt. In contrast, a healthy partner sees your growth as a shared joy, a mutual triumph where both souls are lifted higher. Consider what C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Love is not affectionate feeling, but a steady wish for the loved person's ultimate good. Genuine love rejoices in the success of the other, but a narcissist's love is a reflection of their own insecurity. Their fear of being outshined keeps them locked in competition, unable to provide the encouragement that fosters real growth. When your achievements are met with jealousy, or when your dreams are subtly undermined, it's a sign that the soil beneath you is poisoned by competition. God designed us for relationships that spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Hebrews 10:24. Relationships where growth is mutual, not a battleground for dominance. But what happens when you try to protect yourself, to set boundaries against this stifling control? The backlash can be severe, like a storm unleashed on a fragile garden. A fortress without walls is vulnerable to every enemy. Boundaries are those protective walls, defining where you begin and where others end. Yet in a relationship with a narcissist, setting boundaries is seen as an act of rebellion. Instead of respecting your limits, they respond with punishment, subtle or severe, designed to tear down those walls you're trying to build. You may face silent treatment, passive-aggressive remarks, or outright humiliation. They may abandon you emotionally or physically when you assert your needs. Why? Because boundaries represent equality and autonomy. Things a narcissist cannot tolerate. To them, your independence is a threat to their control. Like a ruler whose authority is questioned, they punish to restore dominance. Think of the story of Samson and Delilah, Judges 16. Each time Samson tried to protect his strength, Delilah's persistence wore him down until his defenses fell. In the same way, a narcissist chips away at your resolve, making you question whether your boundaries are worth the struggle. But remember, God calls us to live with dignity and self-respect. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Setting limits is not an act of defiance, it is an act of self-preservation. Healthy relationships honor boundaries because they honor the person who sets them. But with a narcissist, each boundary you erect becomes a trigger for punishment, a test of your resilience. And so fear sets in, fear of what might happen if you say no again, if you assert your worth just one more time. This fear, like a shadow, begins to loom larger over your life. Fear is a relentless captor, lurking in the corners of a narcissistic relationship. It slips in quietly, at first barely noticeable, but soon becomes a constant companion. Fear of abandonment, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of triggering an outburst. These anxieties take root and grow until they shape your every word and action. You begin to live on eggshells, a fragile existence where your self-esteem shrinks with each step. A narcissist weaponizes fear with surgical precision. It becomes their tool to maintain control, to ensure you remain dependent and compliant. They may withdraw affection or unleash sudden bursts of anger to remind you of your place. This creates a cruel cycle. The more you fear, the more power they hold. And the more power they hold, the smaller your sense of self becomes. C.S. Lewis captured this when he wrote in The Great Divorce, "The tyrant's dream is to find himself surrounded by a cringing flock of dependent creatures. In such relationships, the joy and freedom God intended for us are replaced by the suffocating chains of anxiety. But remember this truth: there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear." 1 John 4:18. God's love is not one of coercion or terror. It is a love that liberates and strengthens. In a healthy relationship, fear fades in the light of trust, mutual respect, and grace. Yet in a relationship ruled by fear, your identity begins to erode. You may even find yourself mirroring the narcissist's behavior in a desperate act of self-defense. When fear takes hold, it doesn't just alter your behavior. It begins to cloud your very sense of who you are. A mirror covered in dust reflects a distorted image. In a toxic relationship with a narcissist, the mirror of your self-identity becomes clouded over time. Their constant criticism, manipulation, and control gradually obscure your true reflection. What once was clear and confident becomes uncertain and fragmented. You may lose sight of your values, your strengths, and even your worth. In a desperate attempt to survive, you might begin to reflect the very behaviors you despise. When pushed to defend yourself, you may find anger rising where once there was patience. Perhaps sarcasm or coldness seeps into your words, traits you once rejected, now taking root. C.S. Lewis warned of this danger in the Screwtape Letters. The more often he feels without acting, the less he will be able ever to act, and in the long run, the less he will be able to feel. The longer you live in this dynamic, the harder it becomes to separate your true self from the person you've been forced to become. This erosion of identity is not just damaging, it is deeply isolating. You may feel trapped in a cycle of self-loathing, wondering how you ended up here. Yet remember, your identity is not defined by this relationship. God's word in Psalm 139 verse 14 reminds us, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Beneath the layers of distortion, your true self, crafted by God, remains intact. But how can you protect that self when every conversation seems designed to draw you into conflict and confusion. There is wisdom in knowing when to step back, when to stop engaging in battles that only deplete you further. In such moments, the path forward is to guard your heart and refuse to enter their traps. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "The safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts." Engaging deeply with a narcissist can feel like this gradual slope, where each small argument chips away at your peace, your confidence, and your sanity. The safest path is to recognize the trap and refuse to walk into it. This doesn't mean silence in the face of injustice. It means choosing where to invest your energy. In Proverbs 26:4, we are warned, "Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him." Protecting your spirit sometimes means disengaging, not as an act of surrender, but as an act of wisdom and self-preservation. True engagement is meant for relationships where growth and understanding flourish. And in such relationships, you'll find encouragement, not competition, as the foundation for genuine connection. A healthy relationship is like rich soil, where two plants grow side by side. In such soil, roots run deep and branches stretch wide, supported by nourishment and care. This is the essence of love that thrives. Each person's success nourishes the other. In this fertile ground, competition withers and encouragement blossoms, allowing both to reach for their highest potential. When love is genuine, it doesn't fear another's growth. It delights in it. Your partner's achievements are not threats, but shared joys. Just as two trees in a field benefit from each other's shade and shelter, so too do hearts that support one another. There is no need to diminish one person to elevate the other. True love understands that both can rise together. In these relationships, you are free to dream boldly, knowing that someone believes in you. You are not walking a tightrope of insecurity. You are walking a path of trust. Encourage one another and build each other up, as Paul writes in 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Love thrives not by constricting growth, but by celebrating it. Each step forward is a step taken hand in hand, without fear of who might outpace the other. C.S. Lewis described love as a steady desire for the beloved's ultimate good. This kind of love makes space for growth, for learning, and even for failure. It offers a safe harbor where self-doubt is met with reassurance, and where your worth is never contingent on your performance. In such relationships, your identity is secure, not constantly threatened or undermined. In contrast to toxic dynamics, a healthy relationship is built on mutual support rather than competition. Success is not a solitary journey. It becomes a shared victory. When one partner achieves a goal, the other celebrates wholeheartedly, knowing that every success lifts them both higher. There is no shadow of envy, only the light of encouragement. When love is free of fear, trust becomes the foundation. Instead of questioning motives or fearing betrayal, you rest in the certainty of mutual respect. Your partner's support is not conditional. It is woven into the very fabric of your connection. Their encouragement is like water to your roots, strengthening you to face the challenges of life with confidence. In these relationships, growth is not stifled by insecurity or undermined by manipulation. Instead, it is nurtured by honest communication and shared joy. You are not measured against each other, but uplifted together. There is no need for pretense, no fear of failure, only the freedom to become the person God created you to be. The beauty of this dynamic lies in its reflection of God's love for us. Just as He encourages us, forgives us, and strengthens us, we are called to do the same for those we love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. 1 Corinthians 13:4. True love creates an environment where growth is inevitable, because it is rooted in grace. When love flourishes, both individuals flourish. Boundaries are respected, dreams are encouraged, and achievements are celebrated. Each person finds strength in knowing they are fully accepted, fully supported. This is the kind of love that reflects divine design, a partnership where neither person is diminished, but both are empowered. In such fertile soil, there is no place for fear or control. Instead, there is freedom, encouragement, and growth. This is what God desires for each of us, relationships that nurture, protect, and inspire. When we experience this kind of love, we are not just living, we are thriving. In this life, dear friends, we are called to walk in truth and freedom, not in fear and control. If you've seen the shadows of manipulation, dominance, or isolation clouding your relationships, know this: God has created you for more. He has equipped you with the wisdom and strength to set boundaries, protect your spirit, and nurture healthy, life-giving connections. Take a moment to reflect. Where in your life do you see the signs of these traps? Are there places where fear or guilt has taken root, where your identity feels clouded or confined? Remember, breaking free begins with recognizing the truth and holding on to it. As Isaiah 41:10 assures us, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Perhaps declare a simple truth: I choose freedom and God's light. Your voice matters, and your journey encourages others who may be facing the same struggles. If this message has touched you, consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content that strengthens faith and fosters growth. May you walk boldly with a heart anchored in God's love and truth.